What is the difference between cash flow and profit? Well, to start with, let's talk about the profit that we're going to be talking about in this video. And in this video, we consider profit to be that very bottom line of the income statement or the profit and loss statement. And sometimes you'll hear it referred to as net income, sometimes it might be net margin. There are a few interchangeable words for that, but ultimately, what we're saying is what is that very bottom line on the income statement? Now, a lot of people will use cash flow and profit or profitability interchangeably. And there are certainly some companies where that is more true than not. The issue is that for most companies, that's not a true statement. And it can result in a lot of frustration and, frankly, in some very, very serious business issues. Cash flow, on the other hand, compared to profitability, is a more holistic view of how money is flowing into, through, and out of the business. It does not just look at the income statement or the profit and loss statement as a way to gauge whether the business is healthy. It also considers other elements like owner's distributions, capital investments, debt payments, and those sorts of things that don't show up in the income statement. Those types of cash outlays generally go through the balance sheet. They are not usually looked at because the balance sheet is often secondary to a lot of other types of business analysis. But for cash flow analysis, it's a key component and, frankly, a very critical component. The other thing that's different between cash flow and profitability is that profitability doesn't always involve cash outlays. For example, there are certain non cash expenses like depreciation and amortization that do go into an income statement but aren't really cash out the door. These are usage items, if you will, on the income statement. So if you're looking at profitability, a lot of times you'll hear people talk about EBITDA or operating income. And those can be a better indication of profitability before non-cash items, and certainly of the amount of income, net income that's being generated from operations. There are multiple ways to calculate cash flow. One of the easiest ways is to start with that profit line from the income statement that maybe you've been looking at historically, and then subtract from it other cash payments that aren't in the income statement. The three that I mentioned before are principal on debt payments, owner's distributions, if you have any. You might also think of those as dividends, as well as any capital investments that are being made. Now, there's a whole host of nuances to this. I've really just glossed over the key elements of the differences between cash flow and profitability. One thing that we didn't talk about at the outset is, why does that even matter? And the reality of it is, you can be an unprofitable business, but as long as you're generating cash flow, that business will continue to survive. The moment that you start running into cash flow problems is the moment that that business is in really serious trouble. Now, you can have timing differences. Lots of businesses go through that, but then you start getting into, or potentially getting into, a cycle of chasing cash flow. And look, if it does nothing else, it starts to keep the management team, the CEO, and the business owner up at night worrying about those timing differences. So, cash flow is one of the best signs of a healthy or unhealthy business. Cash flow or lack thereof is the reason that a lot of businesses fail. It's not because they don't have a good idea. It's not because they don't have a customer base. It's not because they don't have a good profit statement. It's because they frankly have run out of money. So, as you're looking at your financial statements and considering what you measure the health of your company by, I would encourage you to really think about cash flow as one of those critical items and not just get hyper focused on the income statement. If you're already using cash flow in your business, leave me a comment below and tell me how that has helped you or hindered you or frustrated you, and where you might be looking for some additional tips. And also, please remember to subscribe to our channel.